How did you find me here waiting for you? Across the multiverse we collide. It's extraterrestrial, our love. Across the multiverse, you and I.
Backboneverse, welcome back to Journey Through the Arrowverse. I'm your host, Logan Keithie, and I would like to welcome in my co-host on this journey. That is Keithie Langston. How are you doing, Keith?
I'm great. How about you?
I'm doing well. Just happy to be back in for some more Arrow action, and we get plenty of it in this one. So, any thoughts on the previous episode that we covered that we may have not gotten out last time before we hop in?
No, I think we covered everything. Lone Gunman, that being the last episode. No, I think we did a pretty good job of covering it and dipping through everything. So, I think we're moving along in a good clip here. I'm looking forward to us kind of even amping this up a little bit and starting to do 2 episodes each pod episode,
Yeah, I think we can get to that before too long. But as per usual, we're only covering one episode tonight. We're going to episode 4. It is going to be, it is called An Innocent Man. And obviously at the end of last week's episode, we ended with Oliver having to save John Diggle as the Hood. And he kind of has to reveal his secret identity. We get the further hints of that scene. And we Diggle kind of tries to attack him once he realizes that that's what he is. Doesn't agree with how he's going about things. And obviously it leads to some tension between the two of them. Diggle eventually quits being his bodyguard because of it. But obviously Diggle now knows that Oliver is the Hood, the vigilante, whatever you want to call him. And obviously he doesn't agree with how he does things. Oliver tries to pitch him on being his partner, but Diggle kind of accuses him of being a murderer and just not doing things the right way. So pretty big scene to kind of start off things. So what did you think of the official unveiling that Diggle now knows that Oliver is the Hood?
We have to go back and restart the timer clock now, I guess, because unfortunately, we now know. So I guess we'll go. We'll start back, but it was it's a good opening. He explains I kind of like how he's real calm. Oliver's real calm explaining to Diggle, and then he kind of immediately says to him, he's like, "I want you with me." He's like, "You're a man, you have a background, you're a soldier, you're a fighter, you know how to do, you're a good person, you want to make good things." He can already tell that this guy is a good dude. So he immediately says to him, "I want you to be part of my group." And I kind of like that he doesn't mess around. He starts off right away. He's like, "I want you in this with me."
Yeah, he does kind of mention he wants him as, he talks about his time in the armed forces and stuff like that. Kind of tries to pitch it as joining his army and joining him as a brother in arms and stuff like that. Obviously,
being a partner, not a sidekick.
Yeah, and Diggle doesn't see what obviously the vigilante, the Hood, does as the right kind of justice in his mind. So, pretty important scene to kind of start things off. Again, you could say he had unveiled it last week, but this is really the unveiling of him as the Hood for the first time. So,
yes.
But we go from there. Laurel is at the Queen Mansion, says she came by to check and make sure that Oliver survived the shootout from last week's episode, obviously, and found his family terrified, not knowing where Oliver was. Says she made peace with Oliver's selfishness a long time ago, but his family deserves better. Oliver appreciates Laurel coming by to check on him, and Laurel suggests that he should care about others as much as he cares about himself. Thea then consoles him after Laurel obviously kind of put him down there, but they quickly say goodnight before the conversation goes any further. We then cut to the island and the mystery Archer. I'm just going to call him the Archer until we learn what his name is. comes in with a bird chicken kind of. I couldn't really tell what it was. They call it a bird throughout the episode, but it kind of looks like bigger than a bird.
I think it's a chicken. Yeah, it's either a chicken or some fowl of some kind.
Yeah, some kind of bigger, larger bird, obviously. He comes in with it in a cage, and he says something in Chinese over and over again. Oliver, of course, doesn't understand, and he shouts that he doesn't speak Chinese. He then glares at a picture of Laurel that he has with him and just apologizes to her, obviously, just looking at the picture. This wakes him up because obviously this was a dream of some sort. And he finds Thea downstairs watching the news. They are covering a story about Peter Declan, a man who allegedly murdered his wife. And that I think we learn later that he's set to be executed. They ask why Oliver couldn't sleep, and he blames it on dreams about Laurel. Obviously, that's not true, but he's trying to skirt around it. Thea suggests making a play at Laurel, and as Laurel clearly cares about him enough to come check on him the other night before pointing out that Oliver has plenty of faults that she could look past and obviously not be too interested in him. He says he's not the same man as he was before he left, and she suggests showing Laurel who he is now. We then go to the next morning. He comes to the living room to meet Diggle's replacement, as Diggle had resigned from being his bodyguard. Rob Scott is our new guy. The news is on, and Oliver realizes the murdered wife works for someone who is on his father's list, Jason Brodeur. Not the goalie for the New Jersey Devils, Jason Brodeur. He asked Rob to go get the car, but Rob does not want to let Oliver out of his sights, as he knows he has a propensity for slipping away. Oliver then points out that they're super far away from the city, so the only way he could get there would be via car. So Rob realizes that that's probably the right play, and then goes and starts the car. And then we go outside, and Oliver speeds past him on a motorcycle. So what did you think of these kind of three scenes back to back, meeting the new security guy, Laurel and Oliver's conversation, as well as Thea and Oliver's conversation?
I mean, I like the conversation that he has with Thea. I mean, again, this is where, I mean, I know people have had issues with Thea. I don't have issues with Thea. I think she's kind of good because she has this talk where she's like, be your real self with her. He knows that she can see that he clearly still has feelings for Laurel. So it's like, go after her, go get her, tell her who you really are. And he kind of takes her up on that offer. I mean, for a hot minute here. The actor Jason Brodeur, TJ Ramini. I'm trying to think if there's anything that you would know him from. You probably don't. He's been in such things as he's, I think, a character actor. He's not anything to note. He was in Batman.
He kind of looked familiar, but I probably wouldn't know him from.
Yeah, I mean, he's a character actor. I'm trying to think if there's anything that you would have seen him in. I mean, he's in NCIS. He was in Batman Begins. He was in 24. There was a show called The Bill that I think he was kind of like, those are his things that he's most known. He's just got a lot of one-offs, nothing really of any note. And I mean, this is even a one-off, I feel like. So yeah, but I'm glad that we don't get this for very long, this like rotating cast. But the funny thing is like trying to think, is there anybody that was in like the DC comics that was like a character named Jason Brodeur? No, I think you hit it more on the head of, that he's got the same name as a goalie for the New Jersey Devils, and that's about it. But no, so yeah, nothing really about him. And then I like the ongoing character development that we have with Laurel and him, so that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I do like that they kind of have Thea and Oliver have a brother-sister conversation, because it feels like a lot of the stuff that they've had so far has been Oliver trying to be kind of a father figure, but and them just constantly kind of clashing. So it was good to see them kind of bro and sis it up a little bit. But yeah, I like the continued development with the relationship between Laurel and Oliver. And yeah, like Jason Brodeur is just corporate goon of the week, I think. I mean, obviously, That seems to be kind of what we're going with so far, without a real big bad yet in this season. So he's just, I mean, I didn't figure he was based on anybody, but he's just that corporate goon of the week.
Yeah.
But we go from there. We go to the Arrow layer, or whatever you want to call it. That's what I'm going to call it. He's not so sure that Peter Declan is the one who murdered his wife. The case is open and shut, though, but Oliver seems to think Brodeur was involved, as he is on his father's list. We then see Mr. Brodeur talking to a guy named Ankov. We'll later learn, but he is the actual killer of the wife. Brodeur says Peter is worth more alive, and husband kills wife is a better headline than whistleblower uncovers toxic dumping. He says in 48 hours, it'll all be over. We then cut back to Oliver making some arrows in his lair and says Declan will need a good lawyer. Cut to Laurel coming home to her apartment, and the lights aren't working. And then she notices the door is open. She goes to grab a gun. The hood then pops up and says he needs her help. He wants her help to prove that Declan was innocent, and asks. Then she asks why she's so special and why he chose her of all the attorneys in the city. He says they are both trying to help, and she asks why he thinks she'll help him, and it's because he knows she'll do anything to help an innocent man. Laurel then meets with Peter Declan. She points out a knife from Declan's kitchen was found with his prints on it in the trunk of his car, in addition to the fact that he and his wife had a huge argument the night of the murder. Declan says they did have a big fight that night. He says that his wife was about to uncover that Brodeur had been dumping toxic waste into the glades, and Camille had went to a supervisor about it. Says after the argument, he never saw her again until he found her dead body in their baby's room. We then go to Moira. She comes into Walter's office, and Walter has missed a lunch date with her. Walter kind of looks at his watch and realizes that he is, in fact, very late to their lunch date. And Walter says he got distracted because the compliance department has flagged a $2.6 million withdrawal from one of their, I think he says Vancouver subsidiaries. Yeah. So a little tasty thing involving Moira and Walter this time. But what did you think of these 3 or 4 scenes here?
Vancouver is where they filmed. I think they end up filming most of the show, believe it or not.
Yeah,
so that's
right.
Kind of a funny thing. But no, I mean, he's trying to find like 2.6 million. Was it 2.6 million? I think she goes, and so he's trying to figure this out. He's obviously trying to run this company, and that's a big miscalculation by the the auditing department or whatever. So no, I mean, it's just a setup for what happens like in the next scene or the scene afterwards with Walter. So yeah, not too bad. Nothing offensive here.
Yeah, I thought so too. What did you think of kind of the, Brodeur kind of admitting that he's kind of behind things and talking
well, like you had said earlier, he's like the kind of the corporate stooge of the week, where he's the villain of the week without us having like a major. Well, that's the thing, is that the book. I feel like we lose the book fairly quickly in this show, because I feel like he gets through his list of people and like the names on the. I can't remember though if we get through. I feel like we get through the names on the list pretty quickly, or at least most of the names, and then it starts becoming more of the overarching bad guys that you would see in like a DC universe or a DC Comics type thing. So. Yeah, he's just another kind of sleazy. It's funny because they talk about the is it the Glades?
The Glades, yeah.
Yeah, they talk about the Glades, and that's a big thing that comes into play later in the show. But it's very similar to like the Batman where it's the what do they call it? It's not it's where Arkham Asylum is. It's like it's the one in like the Heights or whatever it is, like that they're at, like where Arkham Asylum is, and it's the slums, it's the slum area. So you see that a lot. Again, this is all very much like the rich against the poor, and this is kind of where you get that Robin Hood-esque style here, where it's like Oliver's gonna fix things with the rich to make justice for the poor kind of thing. So
yeah, they definitely poise or make the Glades out to seem like the poor neighborhood of Starling City.
But I was going to say, I like the quote that Laurel has with him when she says there are, and you kind of paraphrased it, but I mean, it's cool because it came up on like this wiki page on this Arrow wiki. And it's like, there are 1,000 lawyers in Starling City. Why me? We're both trying to help. What makes you so sure I'm going to help you? Because I know you do anything to save the life of an innocent man. And I just kind of like that quote. Like, it's a good quote.
It's obviously the quote where they got the name of the episode as well. So
that's true.
Yeah, definitely a good one to point out. But yeah, I mean, obviously, and you were talking about the book earlier. I honestly think the book is kind of gone by the end of season 1, because obviously we eventually do get a big bad, and I think our focus kind of gets shunted towards that, and the book kind of ceases to really matter deep down, because obviously, again, like you said, after that he gets big bad after big bad. I mean, he faces smaller goons throughout, but
fighting the real guys. Yeah.
So
real quick, just on a quick tangent, I just want to let you know, do you know that there's a great movie that came out called An Innocent Man, starring Tom Selleck in 1989, where he's an airline mechanic, is framed by 2 corrupt police officers and goes to prison. He begins plotting his revenge against them. And the great F. Murray Abraham is also in it. So, yeah. But it's funny, when I saw this episode called An Innocent Man, I'm like, I've seen that movie. I know you haven't, but I've seen that movie. But it's great because it's like Tom Selleck, and he goes to like prison, and they have like a lot of scenes with him like in prison and shit, and then he gets out of prison, and yeah, so kind of a dope movie. 1989 Hollywood classic. Anywho,
Tom Selleck, great mustache.
Great mustache. We will not watch that on the Backbone or on Movie Education.
That'll be on the deep end of the list.
That will be on the last. That's the last episode, and that's when we're really crossing over, and we're going to be watching movies that are based off of Arrowverse. Arrowverse episode names.
That's what we can start doing. We can cover an episode and then we watch a movie based on the name of the episode.
Oh God!
I'm just playing. But we'll move on from there. Laurel, we go to Laurel. She's questioning her father, Quentin, about the assuredness they have on the facts of the case against Peter Declan. Laurel brings up the supervisor at work that Peter had talked to her about earlier, and Quentin brings up the name Matt Istook, and said that he has on record that Istook never saw Camille that day, the day that she was murdered. So the story that Peter obviously told her doesn't check out. Quentin questions why she started defending criminals, and she says it's just a hunch. So obviously kind of skirting around it, and he seems kind of not puzzled but concerned by that answer. We then go to Diggle. He is in his sister-in-law's cafe. She has a name. I can't remember what it was, so I'm just going to go with sister-in-law.
Is it Gina or Carla?
I think it's Carla. Carla sounds right. I'm just going to refer to her as sister-in-law in my notes because
Carly Diggle.
Carly, okay. All right. She asked about his arm.
Sister-in-law Diggle if you want. That's fine.
Okay. She asked him about his arm. Obviously, he's still selling the effects of the gunshot wound. He says it's his shoulder, but that he's fine. She says she knew working with or for Queen was trouble. He obviously claims that it doesn't have anything to do with him. Oliver then shows up with his new security detail, Rob. He presents his dad's journal as a way to convince Diggle to join his cause. Tells him the truth of his father's demise and how obviously his father killed himself. And Oliver talks about how he's using this as his purpose and his actions as the Hood, obviously marking off the names going after corporate assholes that are taking advantage of the poor and stuff like that. Yeah. He talks about how Diggle could do the same to avenge his brother and help others in need. Says if none of the legal means can take out the people that need to be taken down, it's going to be him, and he hopes that Diggle will join him. Oliver then says he's going to the bathroom, and he bails on his poor new security guard once again. We then go to Walter in the Queen Mansion. He again is looking into the money issue that he discovered earlier. Moira claims that it was may have been her doing, as she helped a friend with a startup business 3 years ago, and that she'll talk to accounting tomorrow and take care of it. And he still seems skeptical as she kind of walks away. We then have Laurel. She's talking to Joanne. I believe that's the girl's name that she works with at the law office. And she talks about how her intel has been coming from the Hood. Joanne seems kind of skeptical about it. She then goes to meet him and tells her everything that she's learned from her father and the research that she's been doing. The Hood says that he hasn't questioned Brodeur yet, and that, or he says he hasn't questioned him yet. I don't know if he's talking about Istuk or Brodeur. She says she doesn't agree with how he goes about things, and if what he's doing isn't wrong, why is he hiding his face? He says it's to protect those he cares about. We then have Felicity storming into Walter's office and ask why she is being fired, because she just got called to his office and wasn't really given a reason. So she thinks she's being fired. She claims that she's the entire brains of her division, and letting her go would be a major mistake. Walter agrees and says he's not firing her, but wants her to look into the money issue that he's been kind of talking about for the rest of the episode. So what did you think of these few scenes before we get into the kind of intense scene that we have next?
I like John Diggle's response to the guy when he goes, "Oh, that boy's long gone, man."
He just goes
out the door. He's gone. I like that, which is great. I also like when he goes, "You really did lose your mind on that island. Found a couple things along the way, like what, archery classes." That's a great line, though. But this was good. I like the introduction of the little deception here between Walter and Moira, and then him using Felicity, because it begins to show that Felicity is a trusted force to be reckoned with here. So this is great. I love this kind of setup that we have towards the next, obviously, like you said, the next intense situation we have coming out here. So
solid scenes. I'm starting to kind of drive that wedge in between Walter and Moira a little bit. And obviously, Quentin doesn't seem to super approve of whatever Laurel's getting up to at this point. Obviously, she's supposed to kind of help the little guy against the big guy, and not really helping the big guy take down another big guy, or so that's not really what she's kind of been doing. So obviously starting to kind of plant some seeds of dissension between Walter and Moira. So we'll see where that kind of goes into the future. But we then cut back. We see Matt Istuk heading to his car. I don't think we know that it's him at that point, but obviously in hindsight, I know that that's who it was. But he's heading to his car, and he gets shot with a dart. He then wakes up and realizes that he is chained to some railroad tracks. Obviously, Oliver's kind of shouting at him, trying to get him to admit to things that he's done. Istuk does admit that Brodeur paid him to say that Camille never came and talked to him, but he says he was absolutely not involved in the murder whatsoever. Says he can give the Hood the file on the stuff that Camille had on Brodeur. Obviously, he tries to get to where he can take him to the files, but the train is getting closer and closer. He eventually says it's in his desk, and the Hood frees him right before the train is about to just absolutely obliterate him. So pretty intense scene there. But we go to another island flashback. The Archer is eating, and Oliver wants some, but he goes to grab like a bite of it or something, and the Archer just quickly flips him over, kind of beats his ass, and then he signals that he must kill the bird if he wants to eat. We go back to the present. The Hood brings the files to Laurel and says it's leverage against Brodeur. So she couldn't have gotten these any other way, and starts talking about how she agrees with maybe not how he does things, but that he's doing it for good reasons. So what did you think of this kind of meeting between Laurel and the Hood about the files, and the scene where he is able to obtain the files by getting after Matt Istook?
I like that he mentions Bloodhaven. The train's going to Bloodhaven, and just for those who may not know, Bloodhaven is a neighboring city to Gotham, which is patrolled by Nightwing, who was Dick Grayson, who was one of Batman's Robins, the first Robin. So that's just kind of cool. Like, it's just name dropping another DC town, which I kind of like. But yeah, no, I mean, him going to get him, kind of interrogating him, finding out the location of the files. That's a cool thing. I like that. But we have, Laurel kind of being like it's a little risky. And we see what happens in the next scene with her, where she has this information. So, yeah.
Yeah, obviously she realizes that she wouldn't have gotten this by any other kind of legal means, but she knows that deep down the Hood's doing it for good reasons. And she even kind of seems like Twitter-pated by him a little bit in a couple of these scenes, so she's starting to kind of fall for the idea of this justice-seeking individual. So we then have Oliver showing back up at the house. Thea kind of teases him about smiling because he hasn't done too much of that since he has been back. He says things are getting better with Laurel, and that's why he's smiling. Obviously, obviously he hasn't gotten all the way, but hopefully he is stepping in the right direction. Obviously, we then see poor Rob arrive, and Oliver tells him that he has to keep up. We then get Detective Lance. He comes in and goes after Laurel for working with the Hood, because obviously Istook, the only reason Laurel knew that name is because that is the name that Quentin had brought her. She accuses him and the police of not doing a good enough job in the first place. Otherwise, the Hood wouldn't have had to have gotten involved. And then he kind of goes at her for lying and says that that's not something I thought that me and you did. Laurel then presents the files to the judge in hopes of postponing the execution. She denies this proposition. The judge does, I mean. Laurel then threatens Brodeur as she walks out of the room. Brodeur complains to his men, and Ankov complains to his men, and then Ankov says the prison is a dangerous place and implies that they may need to move up Declan's execution themselves. We then have the Hood meet with Laurel again. Laurel says Brodeur would basically need to admit to the murder for things to change. We then get Felicity telling Walter that the money was used to set up an offshore LLC called Tempest, and a warehouse was purchased under the name that is in Starling City, or the building was purchased under Tempest, and it is in Starling City, is what I meant. We then have sister-in-law Diggle and Diggle at the diner once again. They talk about Andy and John Diggle not having a true purpose since he came back from the military, and she tells him to do something where he feels that he's making a difference. So kind of encourages him to team up with the Hood, but without really knowing why. But what did you think of Quentin kind of going after Laurel? Diggle kind of realizing that he kind of that this thing with Oliver is something he's kind of interested in, for the justice part of it, and then obviously Felicity uncovering the warehouse.
All good scenes. I mean, all good kind of just exposition scenes where you have obviously the Laurel and her father having this kind of like moral back and forth of like, justice needs to be justice, not necessarily vengeance, or even just I think it happens later in the court where it's like the court of law, not a court of justice or whatever. And it's just like, it just kind of makes more sense that, like, you know, you have to stick within the bounds of the law in order to find things, in order for it to be correct and legit and all this. And, you know, even though the vigilante is going to help them, it's still difficult for them to kind of have that, like, live in that world. So I like that. And then obviously Felicity finding out, taking short work to find out what, you know, this missing information is, which is great. So you could tell they're prepping her to be a computer genius, obviously. And yeah, I think it's a very tempting offer for Diggle. You know, it's very tempting for him to go and work with Oliver and realize that he's going to be, you know, he's really going to be like in the throes of this and helping out people that need help, you know, and maybe doing that whole, because I mean, vigilantism is great. It's justice for people who can't get justice another way.
Yeah, you see, and the soldier coming back and needing a purpose is used a lot in these superhero shows from a lot. I mean, all the years that I've been watching them, it's a big part of it's either Daredevil or Punisher. I think it's Daredevil where the guy obviously ends up being a bad guy in that from coming back and not really having a purpose, and he realizes. And he just kind of goes crazy because of it from PTSD and all that kind of stuff. But obviously, that's kind of a regularly used kind of character type in these superhero shows. But obviously, Diggle's going to use it for good, unlike the other fella. But we go from there, and the Hood is confronting Brodeur. He shoots him in the hand with an arrow. Brodeur then starts to receive a call. The Hood tells him to answer it, and the voice on the other end is Ankov and says that the thing is going down in an hour. The Hood obviously asks him what that means, and Brodeur says, "Let's just say the execution is getting moved up from its original, time of when it was supposed to happen."
Yeah.
Laurel and Declan are then talking in the prison and the little meeting room where the lawyer talks to their client or whatever. And one of Brodeur's men come in and sets off the prison riot. Oliver shows up eventually in a ski mask and a prison guard uniform and is able to save Declan and Laurel from the goons, almost beating one to death, but Laurel is able to pull him off just in time. She realizes she can't keep working with him because she looked into his eyes and saw no soul. She runs into her father once she comes out of the prison, obviously. Quentin says that they got a confession from Ankov that he was the real murderer, and he was obviously sent by Brodeur to do so. So Declan has been exonerated. So what did you think of, he confronts Brodeur, and then we have the big prison riot that leads to obviously Declan being exonerated for the murder of his wife.
It's a great action sequence, I feel like, and then it just leads to even better scene in the next scene here. So I like it though.
Yeah. Probably the most intense scene. Obviously, we get the guy that kind of fights and stands up to Oliver a little bit, but Oliver has the technical skill and just the willingness to not quit.
But not being in the Arrow outfit is kind of also cool,
Yeah, he couldn't use the he doesn't use the hood, and he can't use the voice modulator. So kind of at the end of the scene, if Laurel was smart, she could have realized that it was Oliver because he says her name and says it plain as day. So, but we then go to a flashback. Oliver is starving and realizes the only way that he is going to eat is if he kills the bird, and he eventually does. We then go to Laurel, who tells Quentin that the Hood was wearing a different outfit this time. Obviously, we look at Quentin kind of look at, it's something registers in his head, and he's like, might be something I should look into. We then go to Walter. He goes to the warehouse. He tries a different couple of passcodes, but then he eventually types in Robert, and that is the passcode to unlock the warehouse. He goes in and discovers the remains of the Queen's Gambit are in the warehouse.
Yep.
Obviously,
Big reveal.
Obviously, it's destroyed, but in a bunch of pieces. But seemingly, the entire ship is just in this giant warehouse in the middle of nowhere. We then have Detective Lance. He has a guy looking into security footage and discovers in a stairwell. I didn't know if this was before the prison riot or before the party shooting or whatever, but obviously they look at some security footage and discover that Oliver was getting ready to suit up during one of his recent appearances as the Hood. Maybe we could maybe technically count this as Detective Lance figuring out that Oliver is the Hood, but obviously Diggle found it out earlier in the episode. But before we kind of get to the finishing stretch, what did you think of Lance discovering this and Walter discovering the gambit in the warehouse?
I was like doing a little bit more like looking up, and I thought this was, it makes sense that it was the prison riot, but for some reason I think it's supposed to be from the previous shooting incident with Deadshot. So I don't know for sure, but I liked it nonetheless. I like the fact that, he figures it out. Like there's something that, wink, wink, he figures out something. And he's like, oh, maybe there's another way for me to figure out who this kid is. And then that's what he does. He does like detective work, which is good. There's a lack of detective work, I feel like, in these shows. So I liked it. Yeah.
Definitely a lack of deep diving. What did you think of the discovery of the ship in the warehouse?
Oh, it's the big dun, dun, dun. Like, because that ends up being so he figures that again, it's just, this is one of these things where it's like the more you poke and pull at the thread, the more questions come out, because now it's like, okay, why, number one, why do you have this ship? Number two, why didn't you tell me you found this ship? Number three, what the hell are we doing? So yeah, but it leads to way more questions now,
Yeah, it definitely gives you more questions than answers. So obviously we've kind of known that she's into some shady stuff because we've had these secret meetings that she's had in a few episodes, and she'll have another one here in just a little bit.
She sure will.
But we then go to Laurel. She's with Peter Declan, and she reunites him with his daughter. Oliver then is in his lair, and he's watching the news of Brodeur getting arrested. Obviously, his man flipped on him, and he got arrested for the setting up of the murder. We then go to one last flashback. The Archer speaks to him in English this time. Says if he wants to survive the island, the bird is not the last thing that he'll kill. And he then picks up the picture of Laurel and says, you need to forget about her or you will not survive. Moira then meets with a man in a limo. We don't get his name. I'm not going to deep dive the actor quite yet until we kind of learn what his name is and who he really is.
Let's wait until he's actually officially revealed. Yeah.
But meets a man in a limo, and then he kind of shows a picture of the Hood, says they're in trouble because the Hood is targeting names on the list. So Moira and this man seem to know what the list is. So they obviously know more about what the Hood is doing than anybody else other than Oliver, pretty much. And then we cut to Diggle being in the Queen Mansion, and Diggle agrees that he will be on Oliver's team. He says he's not going to be his bodyguard, but he will join Oliver in his quest to clean up the city. And they shake hands, and just as they shake hands, Quentin and the rest of the Starling City Police Department, like every person involved in the police department, bust in the door and arrest Oliver under suspicion of him being the Hood. So pretty solid, intense ending there. But what did you think of the fact that they're now teamed up? Him getting arrested, Moira meeting with our mystery man.
Yeah.
And if you have any thoughts about the flashback, you can throw those in there as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like that he's the flashback scene is the guy's yelling at him this one thing, and he's like, "Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese," and then all of a sudden it's like it comes in, and he's like, it's not. I'm not saying the word for chicken. I'm saying the word for this is safety or whatever. So I like that. And then the guy starts. So now it's like, okay, now we can move on to this guy becoming his mentor, becoming his Mr. Miyagi, and that kind of thing. And then them coming in to arrest Oliver. I mean, it's going to happen. This is like one of the things that's ongoing is them assuming that he's the Hood. You know, kind of funny that it happens 4 episodes in, but okay. And then, like you said, we'll save the mystery man for next episode, which is, I think, when he gets officially introduced. So, but yeah, no, I like this episode, actually. I did. I a lot less action, I feel like, than the last one, but still, nonetheless, like good exposition, good character development, good overall, work in this episode.
Yeah, because the prison riot could have been a lot more action. I do feel like they get into the fight pretty quickly and get right back out for the most part. So Oliver honestly uses a lot of like torture kind of ways of getting information out in this one.
He's going to be waterboarding a guy next week.
But yeah, we'll save, obviously the person that gets introduced in this episode until he officially gets introduced. We know his name and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll dive into the actor and all that because he'll be a big part of the season that we're covering right now. So but yeah, solid episode. Again, a lot of exposition, a lot of Laurel, a lot of Oliver throughout. But we do learn that Moira's caught up in some stuff. Obviously, we knew that the Queen's Gambit had been sabotaged from a previous episode as well. So we'll see and learn more about that as we go. But you kind of gave your thoughts on the episode. What will you give it out of 10?
Not as high as normal. I would probably go maybe I'd go 5.5. I didn't love it as much as I didn't think it was as solid of an episode as like the other previous ones. It's not bad, but there's a lot of exposition. There's not a ton of action, and it ends on a big cliffhanger that is just going to be resolved immediately in the next episode. So it's not like they wouldn't have put him in prison. They're not putting him in prison in 4 episodes in. So I mean I'll give it 5.5 maybe. Yeah.
I think I would go 6. Yeah, I think it's definitely maybe the worst that we've seen so far, just because, like you said, it was a little more talking, a little less action than the rest of them. But we did get a lot of development of stories and characters and stuff like that. And even somebody like Walter, who's not been a huge character so far, gets a good bit of shine here. But yeah, I thought it was a solid episode. Definitely not bad or anything like that, but maybe just the worst of what we've seen so far. But we will go from here to some awards. Who would be your MVP of this episode?
Oh boy. I mean, I guess you know what? I'm gonna go with Laurel.
There you go.
I'm going with Laurel. I think she does the most work here. She has good conversations with she has a good dialogue, not only with Oliver, but also with the Hood, also with her dad. She's involved in that prison skirmish. I mean, I'm going Laurel as my MVP of this episode.
Yeah, I think I'll go with that as well. Obviously, it's easy to give it to Oliver for, kind of saving the day, beating up the bad guys and stuff like that. But she gets the justice for the most part by legal means. So
and then she has that awesome scene in the park at the end with the kid and the guy. I mean,
the pack, yeah.
But
yeah, she definitely shined in this one. So I'll join you in that.
You have failed this city.
LVP, I'll have to go with Moira for being a lot like a shit the whole episode.
Because Tommy's not in this episode.
Yeah, I was like Tommy wasn't in this one, so we can't give it to him.
Moira's kind of a piece of shit in this episode, and it's starting to show. And she's also she's like a lame villain. Like she's not a good villain; she's a lame villain. So yeah, Moira sucks in this episode.
Yeah, it's almost like you almost want her to be a little more fleshed out as a character because she's kind of just cold and kind of like just
Yes.
real bland. Like she doesn't
Mhm.
have much, character to herself. She's just kind of,
Yes.
oh yeah,
She's just there.
yeah, she kind of
Yeah.
just exists. So you kind of want to read it more fleshed out, but she also kind of annoying when they do give her more to kind of go with. So, but yeah, she would definitely be LVP of the episode.
I have to be someone else. I have to be something else.
Most important scene, it would stand to reason that you might go with the limo meeting just because of the character that shows up. But I'm going to go with the fact that Team Arrow kind of starts here. Diggle joins the team.
I would agree.
I think that's probably the most important scene in the grand scheme of things. So I assume that's probably what you would go with as well.
I would agree 100%.
So.
Yep.
What about best scene? What would you give best scene to?
I like the scene on the train tracks where he's like threatening the guy, even though it only lasts it's really quick. I kind of like that where he's essentially torturing the guy, and just because number one, he drops the name Bloodhaven, the train, and then he does the thing with the guy, like he cuts him loose at the last second, and then you see the train go by, and you see Oliver behind the train, and like you could tell like the train's going like this, and it's separating the two guys. I like that, so I'm gonna say that's the best scene. That's for me.
Yeah, this was a tough one because, like we said, there wasn't a bunch of action, and the fight was just really quick for what it was worth on that one. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with the train track situation, just because it, gave you the most like intensity and kind of had you worrying for the guy that he was about to get blitzed by a train or something like that. So I will agree with you on that one. But that'll wrap up awards. Another solid episode again. Looking forward to the next one. I feel like I'm in a good situation with this show right now because I always like want to click on the next one and watch the next one right afterwards. But obviously, I'm trying to pace myself and obviously watch closer to when we do the recording.
Well, you can always just watch and take notes.
Yeah, but I would never stop. I would just keep watching and keep watching and keep watching.
You gotta have a life, kid.
I have to. I have other stuff I have to accomplish and people I need to actually be there for. So
that is true. Yes.
But yeah, I hope I can go.
The next episode's called Damaged, and there's a it's a movie called Damaged that stars Samuel L. Jackson.
So next episode we will cover the episode Damaged, episode 5, as well as the movie Damaged, featuring some crazy actor, I'm sure.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah,
some super famous guy.
Yeah. I just looked real quick, and the episode's called Damaged, and I went, oh. And I mean, I'm sure there's an episode called Lone Gun. I mean, sure there's a movie called Lone Gunman as well. And
I'm sure. Yeah,
I'm sure there is. So yeah, there was a TV series called Lone Gunman, but. Yeah. Anywho,
before we go, there was a part at the beginning of the episode. I'm going to see if there's any trivia facts for this episode that because the new security guy says something about being in like the MCU division. I don't know if you caught that, but I wonder if that was like a call out to the obviously famous MCU.
Maybe. I mean, MCU is Major Crimes Unit, but
Yeah.
That's just because I'm a Law and Order idiot, and it's part of the Major Crimes Unit. But yeah, that could be a little throw up. I mean, this would have been 2012, so yeah, they're in the throes of the MCU because at that point, I mean, I think Avengers had already come out, like the first Avengers movie. So yeah, the first Avengers had come out, so. That's already a fully established thing. So I'm sure there's probably a little bit of an inside jab there towards the MCU,
Yeah, I heard him say that, and I was like, I wonder if that was just like a veiled shot at the MCU or something.
Probably.
But I do have a couple of trivia points before we go. This episode marks the first time that a main cast member was not present in the episode. Obviously, we mentioned already that Tommy Merlin was not in this episode. But everybody else obviously showed up. Peter Declan's story in this episode is similar to that of Barry Allen and his family. Both husbands lost their respective wives and were framed for the homicide, and consequently separated from their children in prison until their names were cleared. Obviously, Peter Declan's was cleared a little quicker than Barry Allen's father's was. It's not quite the MCU thing, but Rob Scott mentions that he has 5 years of SWAT experience in the MCU of Monument Point. In the DC comic universe, Monument Point is a city founded in 1803 near Washington, D.C. And the thing that you said earlier, Bloodhaven, is referencing a city which Nightwing has his home and base of operations in. So you kind of already listed that one out. But there's a few interesting facts before we get out of here. But also, before we get out of here, is there anything you would like to plug?
Please listen to everything that we do here on the Backbone Wrestling Network. We're working really hard for you. We have, obviously, this is Journey to the Arrowverse, but you can also hear Logan every Monday morning on the Cross Up, and where he goes over the previous week's wrestling, as well as even pay-per-views that appear or premium live events that are on Sunday nights. And he'll even put those out, which is great. So, you get to hear that. And it's actually a really good show, because if you don't have the time to watch wrestling, Logan does it for you. And he does a very thorough, detailed analysis of each show that comes out on, for at least for AEW, WWE, and TNA, I believe, correct? You still do
Correct.
TNA, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I don't do like AAA. And
no, he doesn't do AAA. He doesn't do like Ring of Honor and stuff, but he does the big three still. So, it's always good to have notes on the big three, and a big four if you include NXT. But also you can hear it's Highway to the Impact Zone, which Logan does. That's talking about the Impact Zone back in the day of TNA, or Impact Wrestling, whenever it is. You can hear Linking Up Luchas. Is that you haven't done your last episode yet?
Not quite. We as of when this drops, we will have covered the next to last episode. So the only episode after this episode drops will be the finale. So
the finale. So Linking Up Luchas, which is great because that talks about Lucha Underground, which was a big show back in the day, around the time that this was going. This show was airing too, right? Like 2012.
Yeah, it started in 2015. So
yeah,
I think it was, we were probably 2 or 3 seasons deep of this at that point. But yeah, pretty much kind of around the same era. And
then you also have, Are You Smarter Than Vince Russo's WCW, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's a show that is an insanity show. It's an insane show because Logan and Schiff literally watch and try to understand and dissect what the hell Vince Russo's booking was of WCW in the late or the 2000s and 2000 and 2001. So, good luck with that nonsense. I mean, they're in the mind of a madman and they're trying to decipher it. And Logan literally does that show with a madman. So, we're not even to the really bad stuff yet either, and it's already pretty bad. So. No, and it's fucking terrible, and they're not. Yeah, they're not. But so you got that. You have we have New Gen on a Mission, which is a show that is about the next generation or the new generation of the WWE back in the 90s. What else do we have? Oh, Jesus Christ! How could I forget the Shit Taking Hands of Z? Where me and Sean Kidd get to annoy each other for several hours at a time when we record. Hands of Z, obviously, is matches where we watch Larry Zbyszko and Ronnie Garvin, and then every half episode is usually 2 other, matches that have some kind of a gimmick towards it that we have. And then, of course, the Shit Take is listening to Sean Kidd's endless supply of shit takes that he has, and me coming up with some. Every once in a while, I tend to throw out a good one. I think by the time this airs, I wonder if my Rey Mysterio or it'll either be my Rey Mysterio. Oh, no, wait. Are those April? Those might be April. I have 2 good ones for, I think, April. It's on Rey Mysterio and then on Uncle Dave Meltzer. So you'll have to hear with those. But yeah, those are good. And then you can see me and hear me on Can Keithie Take the Heat, my YouTube show where I do cooking. And I cook the recipes from the JR's cookbook. And then, of course, you can hear me with Petey Winston on our own feed, GFA Live every week. And then I have my own shows that I do on my own feed, a la carte, Hail to the Keith, Take It Easy with Keithie, that kind of thing. I'm all over the place. You're all over the place. You also do on the North-South Connection under the Jenny position. You do Talking Docs with Jenny and Cowboy Roger. You also have no, that's it. You don't do the you don't do the ECW show. She does the ECW show.
Matt's the one that does the ECW.
Yeah, with Matt and her and Justin. So yeah.
But other than that, we have the movie Education of Myself.
Oh Jesus!
We just did Blue Chips, so that one is another great one on the backbone.
And you know what the good thing is I'm doing these all off the top of my head, trying to remember all the names.
You just wanted me to plug it. So
no, I'm literally trying to remember all the shows that we do, so that you don't have to do plugs.
No, you're good.
You know, yeah.
But yeah. I think that might cover the backbone. We might have missed. You have your Clash show, of course.
Clash of the Champions. I just recorded Clash of the Champions. Jesus Christ. That's what I did. That's what I did before we did this. I did Clash of the Champions.
You just recorded with Schiff. And the only other thing on the backbone is YouTube Roulette. If you haven't listened to that show, definitely do.
There's also classic episodes of Crock and Roll and Territorial.
There you go. But YouTube Roulette is batshit insane. Scott Shiflett often refers to it as Mystery Science Theater 3000, but with wrestling YouTube. So we usually just pick a bunch of matches, throw them together, barely watch them, and let our insanity unfold to all of y'all's listening ears. Mostly Shift's insanity, but me and Matt can be pretty batshit as well. So, but thank you for joining us on this journey, and hopefully we did not fail this spot.